I never thought my grandmother's funeral would be the day my world turned upside down. My name is Victoria Hayes, and at 35, I'd spent the last decade wrangling cattle and fixing fences on small ranches across Montana's Big Sky Country. Life out here in the West teaches you resilience, the kind that comes from staring down blizzards and bad harvests, but nothing prepared me for the storm brewing in my own family. The service was held in a simple chapel in Bozeman, the air thick with the scent of pine and fresh-cut hay from the surrounding fields. My cousin Ashley stood at the front, her voice cracking just enough to seem genuine as she spoke about carrying on Grandma Elizabeth's legacy. "She taught me everything about the land," Ashley said, dabbing her eyes. That old ranch house in the Gallatin Valley was her heart, and she wanted it preserved by someone who understood its soul. I sat in the back row, my boots still dusty from the drive-in from my rented cabin near Ennis. For years, I'd tried to visit Grandma at the assisted living facility in Livingston, only to be turned away. Family only, the staff would say, checking a list where my name had been scratched off. Ashley and her mom, Eileen, always had excuses when I'd call. Grandma's too tired, or doctor's orders limiting visitors. Meanwhile, they'd post photos on Facebook of their cozy afternoons with her, sipping coffee on the ranch porch, laughing like they owned the place. And maybe they thought they did. 2 weeks before Grandma passed, Ashley had already shared pics of the property online, captioning them with talk of new chapters and honoring traditions. It stung, seeing her pose by the old barn where Grandpa had taught me to ride horses as a kid. My dad, Robert, sat up front, his weathered hands folded in his lap. We hadn't spoken much since he'd sided with Eileen over some old family feud. The rest of the relatives nodded along to Ashley's eulogy, buying into the story that I was the drifter granddaughter, too busy chasing rodeos to care. But Grandma knew better. Or at least, I hoped she did. As Ashley wrapped up her speech, the family lawyer, Mr. Harlan Reed, stood up. He'd been Grandma's attorney for decades, handling everything from land deeds to water rights disputes, common out here where ranches span thousands of acres. Elizabeth Hayes left clear instructions, he announced, his voice steady like a judge in a Western courtroom. The will is to be read right here, in front of everyone. Eileen shot up halfway. Harlan, this can wait, but he cut her off.
No, Mom.
She was specific. He pulled out a sealed envelope, and the chapel went quiet as a ghost town. His eyes met mine across the room, and my gut twisted. To my granddaughter Victoria, he read, I leave the entirety of the Hayes Ranch, including the house, land, and all assets. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Ashley's face went pale as fresh snow, and Eileen started muttering about mistakes and influence. But Mr. Reed handed me a private letter before everyone scattered. Open it when you're ready, he said softly. She trusted you'd know. Back at my cabin that night, with the Madison River rushing outside my window, I tore open the envelope. Inside was a worn journal, faded photos, and a folder stuffed with papers. Grandma's handwriting filled the first page. My dear Victoria, if Harlan gave you this, then the truth is out. I know about every time they blocked you from seeing me. I've kept records. My heart pounded as I read on. She'd hired a private investigator after noticing holes in Eileen and Ashley's stories. The journal detailed edited photos, intercepted calls, and how they'd painted me as the unreliable one, the cowgirl who couldn't settle down. One entry chilled me. Ashley and her husband Brett came by today, thinking I was napping. They talked about selling off parcels of the ranch before I'm gone. Brett mentioned a developer ready to pay top dollar for the valley views. The photos showed family gatherings where I'd been cropped out, Invitations to holidays with my name erased. The folder had emails and texts legally obtained. Mr. Reed later confirmed, proving the scheme. Eileen telling the facility to bar me. Ashley coordinating events, without inviting me. Even a message to my dad. Robert. Victoria's just jealous. Ashley's the one who shows up. His reply? You're right. I'll back off. It hurt like a branding iron. But there it was, proof my own father had chosen their lies. I called my friend Sarah, a real estate attorney from Billings who'd gone to law school with me before I dropped out to work the land. You need to see this, I said. She drove over that night, her truck kicking up dust on the gravel road. This is elder isolation, Sarah whispered, flipping through the docs. And if they've moved on the property already, we're talking fraud under Montana law. Grandma's last entry warned, be careful.
Victoria.
They've been pushing papers. Trust Harlan. Trust your instincts. I love you more than the mountains. We decided to hit the county recorder's office at dawn. As I lay awake, staring at the stars through my window, I felt a fire building, not just anger, but a need for the truth to shine like the Montana sun. The next morning, the Gallatin County office in Bozeman was buzzing with ranchers filing claims. The clerk, a no-nonsense woman named Linda, pulled up the ranch records. Lots of activity lately, she said, frowning. There it was, a deed transfer dated a month ago, supposedly signed by Grandma, giving the ranch to Ashley. Impossible, I breathed. She was bedridden, couldn't even feed herself. Sarah pointed out the witness, Brett, Ashley's husband. Montana requires impartial witnesses for deeds, especially with seniors. This screams invalid. Worse, Ashley had taken a loan against the property, $250,000, and listed it for sale with multiple offers pending. We got certified copies and flagged it for the DA's fraud unit. As we left, my phone rang. Ashley. Drop this.
Victoria.
You're just bitter. I hung up, but texts flooded in from family, siding with her. Dad called too. This jealousy has gone too far.
I'm disappointed.
His words cut deep, but Sarah squeezed my shoulder. We're building a case. This ends with justice. That afternoon, Mr. Reed met us at his office overlooking the Bridger Mountains. Your grandma suspected this, he said. She changed her will quietly, with video proof of her soundness. She wanted them to show their colors. We pored over security footage from the ranch. Grandma had hidden cameras installed. It showed Ashley and Brett measuring rooms, discussing subdivisions for profit. This is conspiracy, Sarah said. We'll get a court order to freeze the property. As the sun set over the valley, I drove to the ranch alone, parking far off and walking the fence line. Memories flooded back, Grandma teaching me to rope calves, sharing stories by the fire about homesteading in the 1800s. She'd built this place with Grandpa after the war, turning sagebrush into a legacy.
Now,
it was tainted by greed. But I whispered to the wind, I'll make it right, Grandma. Little did I know, the web went deeper than I imagined. The days blurred into a whirlwind of legal maneuvers, each one peeling back another layer of deceit. Sarah and I set up camp in her Billings office, surrounded by stacks of printouts and empty coffee cups from the local diner. The evidence was mounting like snow in a Montana winter, unstoppable and overwhelming. We'd obtained a temporary restraining order on the ranch, halting any sales or loans. Ashley fought back hard, posting on social media about how I was stealing her inheritance with fake claims. Her followers, mostly city folks dreaming of Western living, ate it up, but locals knew better. Out here, land disputes are as common as coyotes. And folks value hard proof over pretty pictures. Mr. Reed brought in the big guns, a forensic document expert from Helena who confirmed the deed signature was forged. The tremors in Grandma's real handwriting from her Parkinson's aren't there, he explained. This is a clean trace job. We traced the notary, some friend of Brett's from out of state, who admitted under pressure that she'd stamped without seeing Grandma sign. They said it was urgent. She confessed in her deposition.
Urgent?
All right, for their pockets. The loan docs showed Ashley had used the money to buy a fancy truck and start a ranch lifestyle blog, all while Grandma's medical bills piled up unpaid. But the real gut punch came from the emails. The PI had dug up chains between Eileen, Ashley, Brett, and even my dad. They'd formed what they called the Valley Venture, a scheme to flip elderly properties across the West. Grandma wasn't there first. There were hits in Wyoming and Idaho, targeting widows with prime land. One message from Eileen to Dad. Robert, if Victoria gets wind of this, she'll ruin everything with her honesty crap. Keep her out. His reply, I'll handle it. Family first. Family first? It felt like a betrayal sharper than a barbed wire cut. I confronted him over the phone that night. How could you? I demanded, my voice shaking. He paused, then sighed. I thought it was just business. Eileen said it was all legal, but his tone wavered, like he was finally seeing the cracks. Sarah pushed for federal involvement. The scheme crossed state lines, invoking wide fraud. An FBI agent from the Denver field office, Special Agent Torres, took the case. This is textbook elder exploitation, he said during our first meeting in a Bozeman coffee shop. We've seen rings like this preying on rural seniors. They raided Ashley's home in the valley, finding laptops with forged templates and buyer lists. Brett cracked first, spilling everything for a plea deal. It started small, he admitted in a statement, helping Eileen with her uncle's place in Casper. Then it snowballed. Ashley held out, screaming innocence, but the evidence was ironclad. Amid the chaos, I found solace in small things, the rhythm of saddling a horse at dawn, riding the backcountry trails near Ennis. One evening, as the alpenglow lit the Madison Range, I opened Grandma's journal again. An entry from last year. Victoria's the only one who loves the land for its spirit, not its dollars. Ashley sees subdivisions. She sees sunsets. Tears blurred the page. Why hadn't I fought harder to see her? Guilt gnawed at me. But Sarah reminded me, they blocked you systematically. This isn't on you. We uncovered more. Eileen had drained Grandma's savings with loans that were never repaid, totaling over $150,000. Financial abuse, Agent Torres confirmed. We'll add it to the indictments. The family fallout was brutal. Cousins I'd grown up riding with suddenly unfriended me online, buying Ashley's narrative. But others reached out quietly. A great uncle from Missoula sent a card. Elizabeth always said you were the true heir. Dad showed up at my cabin one rainy night.
Hat in hand.
I was wrong, he muttered, staring at his boots. Eileen manipulated me for years. I wanted to slam the door, but something in his eyes, regret, maybe, held me back.
Prove it, I said.
Testify. He nodded, and for the first time in years, we talked. Not about the fraud, but memories fishing the Yellowstone with Grandpa, Grandma's apple pies. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet, but a crack in the wall. As arrests loomed, Ashley tried one last desperate play, a lawsuit against me for emotional distress. It backfired spectacularly when Sarah countersued for defamation, attaching the forged deeds. The judge, a grizzled veteran of land wars, dismissed her claim with a stern warning. This court's seen enough snake oil in its day. That night, I dreamed of Grandma. Her voice clear. Fight for the truth. But don't lose your heart. Waking to the sound of elk bugling in the distance.
I felt a shift.
This wasn't just revenge. It was reclamation of the ranch, of my place in the family story. The grand jury indicted them all, Ashley on 25 counts, including forgery and conspiracy, Brett on 18, Eileen on 12 for her role in the finances. Dad got a lesser charge, accessory after the fact, but cooperated fully. I owe you that, he told me before his plea. Agent Torres warned, trials can drag, but the evidence is solid. We prepared for court in Helena, the state capital feeling worlds away from the quiet valleys. Media picked up the story. Western family fraud ring busted, but I stayed low, focusing on the ranch. I hired a caretaker to maintain it, ensuring the fences held and the cattle grazed peacefully. One breakthrough came unexpectedly. Security footage from the assisted living home showed Ashley slipping Grandma pills to calm her before pushing the deed. Attempted undue influence, Sarah said triumphantly. It sealed Ashley's fate. As winter approached, blanketing the Rockies in white, I visited Grandma's grave in the Bozeman Cemetery. I miss you, I whispered, laying wildflowers. But I'm making it right, the wind whispered back, carrying the scent of sage. For the first time, hope flickered brighter than anger. The trial kicked off in a Helena courtroom as spring thawed the high country, rivers swelling with meltwater. The place was packed, ranchers, reporters, even victims from other states flown in by the feds. I sat in the witness box first, recounting the years of exclusion, the blocked visits, the discovered journal. Grandma documented it all, I said, voice steady despite the knot in my stomach. Ashley's lawyer tried to paint me as vengeful, but Sarah dismantled him with the evidence. This isn't jealousy. It's justice under Montana Statute 45-6-101 on elder abuse. Brett testified next, his plea deal requiring full disclosure. We targeted properties with development potential, he admitted, avoiding Ashley's glare. Elizabeth's ranch was prime for subdivisions, views of the Tetons, access to Bozeman. The jury, a mix of farmers and townies, leaned in as he described the forgeries. Eileen broke on the stand, tears streaming. I thought it was harmless, she sobbed. Just helping family. But emails showed otherwise, her directing the isolation tactics. Dad's testimony hit hardest. I let my sister blind me, he said, looking at me. I failed as a father. The prosecutor nodded. Your actions enabled fraud. He got probation, but the shame etched his face like wind-worn rock. Ashley fought like a cornered bobcat, claiming Grandma had verbally promised her the ranch. But the video will Grandma lucid, declaring me heir, crushed her. Victoria's the guardian this land needs, Grandma said on tape. The jury deliberated 2 days, returning guilty on all major counts. Ashley collapsed, screaming, "She stole my future." Bailiffs hauled her away. Sentencing came swift. Ashley 15 years federal time, Brett 10, Eileen 5. Considering her age. You've exploited the vulnerable, the judge intoned. In the West, we protect our elders like we protect our water rights. Post-trial, the ranch was mine legally, but the victory felt hollow. Media hounded me, the cowgirl who took down her kin, but I dodged interviews, retreating to the cabin. One evening, Sarah visited with burgers from a local joint. You did good, she said. But now what? I stared at the fire. Sell parts? Keep it running. Guilt lingered. Had my pursuit fractured what little family remained? Dad called weekly from his monitored home, sharing regrets. I see now how Eileen poisoned everything. Slowly. Conversations turned to healing, plans for him to visit the ranch, help with chores. Then came the twist that softened the edges, digging through ranch attic boxes. I found letters from Grandma to Eileen, revealing a long-ago adoption secret. Eileen wasn't blood-related, adopted as a baby after a family tragedy. It explained her desperation for belonging, her greed as overcompensation. I shared it with Dad. Maybe understanding helps, he said. We decided not to publicize. Some wounds heal privately. Ashley wrote from prison, a rambling apology mixed with blame. I was scared of losing it all. I didn't reply, but it humanized her, a product of Eileen's manipulations, chasing security the wrong way. Summer brought restoration. I hired local hands to revive the ranch, turning it into a working spread with guest cabins for eco-tourists, honoring Grandma's love for the land without carving it up. Community rallied. Neighbors brought hay, shared stories of Grandma's kindness. One old-timer said, "She always said you'd bring the family back together, your way." Dad moved in temporarily, mending fences literally and figuratively. We talked late nights by the campfire, unpacking years of hurt. I chose wrong, he admitted. But I'm choosing right now. Agent Torres called with recovered funds, $180,000 from offshore accounts. I donated half to elder protection nonprofits in Montana, the rest to ranch improvements. It felt right, turning poison into purpose. As fall colors painted the valley, I hosted a small gathering, Sarah, Mr. Reed, a few loyal cousins. No drama, just barbecue and stories. Eileen, out on parole early for good behavior, sent a card. I'm sorry. Learning to live honestly. It sparked a tentative call, forgiveness budding like spring grass. The lesson settled in gently. Family isn't just blood, it's choices. Greed erodes like drought, but truth nourishes like rain. Grandma's legacy wasn't the land, it was teaching us to choose integrity over inheritance. Riding the trails at dawn, I felt her spirit in the wind, whispering approval. With the ranch thriving, life found a new rhythm, mornings checking cattle, afternoons handling paperwork with Sarah's help. But echoes of the past lingered, testing my resolve. Ashley's appeals dragged on, her lawyer arguing familial pressure as mitigation. It reopened wounds, but the courts held firm. Justice isn't swayed by blood ties, the appellate judge ruled.
Dad,
Now a fixture at the ranch, helped rebuild, fixing the barn, sharing Grandpa's old ranching tips. Our bond mended slowly, built on honesty. I regret the lost years, he confessed one day while baling hay. But we're here now. Eileen, released to a halfway house in Billings, reached out tentatively. Can we talk? Her voice trembled on the phone. We met at a neutral spot, a diner in Livingston. She looked frail, the schemer gone, replaced by regret. I was abandoned young, she admitted, referencing the adoption papers. I clung to what I could control, money, land. I pushed you away because you reminded me of Elizabeth's strength.
Tears fell.
Forgive me, not fully, but I nodded. We're family. Let's start small. She visited the ranch monthly, helping in the garden, sharing stories without agendas. It humanized the hurt. Her actions stemmed from fear, not pure malice. Brett, serving time in a low-security facility near Great Falls, wrote apologies through his lawyer. I got greedy, lost sight of right and wrong. Ashley's letters evolved from anger to reflection, prisons teaching me what I ignored, empathy. I responded once, use it to change.
No promises.
But seeds of redemption. The community embraced the shift, The ranch became a hub for local events, barbecues, trail rides, fostering connections Grandma would love. I started a workshop series on elder rights, partnering with the Montana Bar Association. Spot the signs. I'd teach. Drawing from our story without naming names. It turned pain into prevention. One crisp autumn day, Dad and I hiked to the ridge overlooking the valley. "This land's yours now," he said. "But remember, it's not about owning, it's stewarding." We discussed dividing parcels fairly if needed, ensuring sustainability. Eileen joined later, suggesting a family trust for future generations. "No more fights," she said. It felt like closure, a new chapter without erasing the old. Winter brought quiet reflection. Snow blanketed the ranch. And by the fire, I reread Grandma's journal. "Heal the rifts if you can," one entry urged. "Families worth mending." I invited Ashley for a supervised visit post-release, hypothetical yet, but open. Spring renewal mirrored our progress. The ranch bloomed. Cattle calved. Tourists arrived. Dad proposed a memorial plaque for Grandma, in honor of Elizabeth Hayes, who taught us that true legacy is love, not land. We unveiled it with a small ceremony, Eileen, Sarah, even distant relatives. No drama, just gratitude. Agent Torres stopped by. "Your case inspired new laws, stronger protections for rural elders." Pride swelled. Our ordeal sparked change. As summer peaked, I rode solo to the river, pondering the journey. Betrayal had shattered us, but rebuilding forged stronger bonds. The lesson? Forgiveness isn't forgetting, it's choosing growth over grudge. Grandma's spirit lived in that, humanity triumphing over hurt. Years blended like seasons on the ranch, each bringing deeper peace. Ashley, paroled after 8 years, showed up unannounced one golden afternoon. She looked changed, humbled.
No designer clothes.
Just jeans and a tentative smile. "I don't expect welcome," she said. We walked the pastures, talking honestly for the first time. "I was jealous of your freedom," she admitted. Chasing money blinded me. I shared my struggles, the loneliness, the doubt. We both lost Grandma's last days. Tears flowed. And in that vulnerability, forgiveness took root. She stayed for dinner, helping Dad grill steaks. Eileen joined, the table awkward at first, then warming with shared memories. To second chances, Dad toasted. Brett, released earlier, worked odd jobs in town, keeping distance but sending restitution checks. Making amends, his notes read. The family, once fractured, reformed loosely, holidays at the ranch.
No schemes.
Just presents. I married a local vet, Jake, in a simple ceremony by the barn. Our kids grew up riding the same trails I had, learning Grandma's stories. Integrity over inheritance, I'd tell them, echoing her wisdom. The ranch evolved a sustainable operation with conservation easements, protecting the land forever. I wrote a book, not sensational, but practical, guarding the legacy, spotting and stopping elder fraud in rural America. Proceeds funded scholarships for law students focusing on senior rights. It sold modestly, but the impact rippled. Families shared how it saved their elders. Dad passed peacefully at 82, surrounded by us all. His last words, "I'm proud." We fixed what was broken. Eileen followed years later, her final days filled with grandkids' laughter. Ashley rebuilt her life, running a nonprofit for parolees, turning her mistakes into mentorship. "Your strength inspired me," she told me once.
Now,
At 60, I sit on the porch watching sunsets paint the mountains. the ranch thrives, a testament to resilience. The shocking betrayal that exposed lies led to unexpected healing, a family reborn through truth and compassion. Grandma's lesson lingers. In the face of greed, choose humanity. It rebuilds what deceit destroys, creating legacies worth passing on. As the stars emerge, I whisper thanks to her, to the land, to the journey that taught us all to live with open hearts.